This show is part of the RetroZap.com podcast network.
We've passed on all we know. 1,000 generations live in you now. But this is your fight.
Hey guys, welcome back to Brews and Blasters. Joe here, and this is a very special episode. And joining me today, because Chris is on location at Celebration Chicago, is Bill Drewnowski of Dorklair. How's it going, man?
Good. How you doing, man?
Oh, it's what a day! Fantastic day for Star Wars fans. And I'm just sitting here reeling still from this trailer, this teaser trailer. Believe it or not, for after 2 minutes, and. It's just been so great to have, new Star Wars and to see a new trailer after 2 years of wondering where this story is going. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I actually I can't even believe we're closing in on the end of this new trilogy. Like, it's not even the new trilogy anymore. We're closing in on the end of it. So
yeah, this is it.
Wild.
This is the culmination of and. They said this in the panel today, that not just the culmination of this trilogy, but all of the trilogies. So yeah. It leads me to believe that the storytelling that they're doing in this movie is going to tie to the previous 8 and more. So I think that that's really exciting, and who knows where the story is going to go. I think that there's a lot to look forward to. And, even in this short teaser, I think we can dissect quite a bit too. And, guys, don't worry. When Chris gets back, we're going to have a full Celebration breakdown. We're going to talk about everything. But we wanted to just get on here and just kind of share a little bit of our instant reaction tonight, and just really kind of just enjoy the fact that we got a trailer today and break it down a little bit. If you go to RetroZap.com, I spent the afternoon literally going shot for shot and looking at everything that I possibly could off this trailer. So if you go to RetroZap.com, the article's on top there, 100 screenshots, and I just break down in 2,000 words everything I could possibly find. So we will check it out.
I read every single word of that thing, and
thanks,
it's
man.
a really good read. So yeah, it's highly recommend.
That's awesome. Yeah, thank you so much for that. Yeah, and Dorklair this week, you guys have all the collecting news that came out today, right?
Yeah. Actually, we just recorded. That'll be out Sunday, and yeah, we kind of went through all the Hasbro stuff.
Nice.
Least, and then a couple other little items, but for the most part, the Hasbro stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of a lot of collecting news that came out today, and there's even more that's going to be released all weekend. You know, funny, yesterday during the quote-unquote preview day, I saw that there were some prototype Boba Fett socks that were released, and I just, like, for $18, you know, Proto Fett's my thing, so I just immediately just was like, all right, buy that, done. And, yeah, I kind of indulged. I also might have indulged on an episode 9 beanie on eBay. Maybe did that too. But I think
like a winter hat. Like a winter hat.
So they gave, during the episode 9 panel, they gave out these winter hat guy beanies that said, you know, IX for 9 right on the front.
Okay.
And you know, everyone who goes in those panels usually either you get pizza, or you get something, but or you get a poster or who knows what. But they had winter hats for this one. And
that's awesome.
Yeah,
it's fitting. It's very appropriate for Brews and Blasters.
It is. And you know what's funny? I'm like, well, if someone was at that panel and they decided to put this thing up for eBay, they don't deserve it. So I might as well bid on it and take it. Because, you know, I'm not at Celebration. We're doing Celebration Home, you and I. So we're having a good time down here in Boston. And yeah, so I will make good use of it with my bald head, and, you know, it'll be good. So pretty cool. But anyways, winter hats aside, let's talk about this trailer a little bit. What overall, Bill? What are your first impressions?
All right. Well, like, my first thing is obviously the title. Like, that stands out to me as the most bold, I guess, like, aspect of it. You know, like this end of this thing and the rise of Skywalker. So it's provocative, to say the least, you know? So that kind of was the thing that stood out to me the most. It's
very provocative because you think this would be such a culminating type of title. Like, you think of the great ending trilogy titles out there, you know, Return of the Jedi, Return of the King. You don't usually see the rise of anything. Except, I will say this. Do you ever read the Hyperion book series? Okay, so Dan Simmons wrote this 4-book series back in the 90s. It's a really weird and pretty trippy sci-fi book series. So you should check that out. But he started with Hyperion, then like the Fall of Hyperion, and then the 3rd book was called Endymion, and then the last book was called The Rise of Endymion. And that kind of, it's weird to see the final book be the rise of something. But who knows? Maybe with the rise of Skywalker, we're seeing the end of, you know, these dang Star Wars, and who knows what does the word Skywalker even signify in this? Does it signify a person? Does it signify a role? A role? Or maybe it's an order of people. Like, is Skywalker
right?
Is Skywalker a weapon? Is Skywalker is Skywalker what we're calling the Resistance nowadays? You know, who knows what Skywalker actually is at this point, or is it just Rey?
So one of the things about the sequel trilogy is the aspect of legends and storytelling.
Yes.
And sort of like what's truth and what's legend, and what will remain or last.
And what's the role of legend?
So my very first kind of like initial reaction was this idea that, you know, it's talking about the legend of Skywalker.
Okay.
And it's almost like this generic term about this Skywalker hero, this archetype or something beyond like the content of the saga, and almost transcending the saga into this just concept of this legend,
like a messiah, almost like.
Sure, yeah, almost an ascendancy.
Sure, yeah, okay, interesting. All right, so let's take it from the top, okay? Because at the beginning we just get breathing, and you see the Lucasfilm logo, and then you get Rey just kind of standing there in the desert again. And it's almost like I think of Finn when the first trailer, and he like jumps up from the desert and he's breathing and, like, you know, at this, you know, very excited state. And this is how Rey is too, but she's a little bit more calm, and she reaches for that lightsaber, and she's just out in the desert, and you know, all you see is something coming off in the distance, and you can tell it's a TIE fighter. And then you see that she has Luke Skywalker's lightsaber, and it's been rebuilt, and you're like, oh damn. I think everyone kind of said that, you know what I mean? Like, wow, it was broken and she rebuilt it. But it took until
and like the fact that they revealed that in the trailer, you know, like is bold to me.
It is bold because that means there's a lot more to talk about besides the Stan lightsaber. I mean, like, yeah, like they it's funny, the reveal of Luke's lightsaber in Return of the Jedi was such a huge thing. It was like, you know, they waited until like 20 minutes into the movie to even show you what it was, and then that, you know, his blade was green. Like it was a massive thing. And you know, we'll come back to the lightsaber afterwards, but I didn't get this until I got a still of it, a screenshot, was that Rey, this is not the same saber. Of course, it was broken. It was ripped in half in Snoke's throne room. And so Rey had to rebuild it, and it's shorter. It's more built for her hand, and you can actually tell in one shot from behind. You can see as she's holding it, there's now a black grip in the middle of the saber, probably where she, you know, kind of duct taped it together, I bet. But for lack of
she cut it down, like she cut the jagged pieces down and put them together like it's this shorter thing.
Because you look in The Force Awakens, she has a two-handed grip on this thing, and she doesn't need that. And she shortened this to her hand, and she's made it smaller, and it's more readily usable for her. And now she has like a good, nice black mold on there too. So it's gonna look different, and I can't wait to get a really good look at the saber itself. As you know, Bill, I've been really into the Master Replicas mini sabers lately. It's terrible that the line has gone away because I really want ones for this era of sabers as well. But alas, we probably won't be getting those. But
it's the curse of going back into an old line and collecting, and then you get all into it, and then you want them to make more, and they're just not going to happen.
yeah, definitely. But you know, the Brews and Blasters influence has been known to inspire many. So you never know. You never know.
Need 'em, got 'em.
Need 'em, got 'em, baby. Need 'em, got 'em. That's what it is. So we're sitting here and we're watching her, and all of a sudden, like, you know, I gotta say too, she looks so like I don't want to say fit, because she's been in shape, and she's been, you know, appropriate for this role for the entire trilogy, obviously. But she looks chiseled. I think I said it twice in my article. She looks chiseled out of stone in this movie, like totally like ripped and like just looking like a warrior. Like and I think a lot of it has to do with her facial expression too. But she just looks very, very like just absolutely ripped, and like just like she's been fighting for years at this point, and totally confident and full of knowledge and skill. Like and she's just standing there with a lightsaber, and you can sense all of this. Did you get that too?
Yeah, for sure. You used the phrase steeliness, or like a steely glance or something like that, and there's a steel there that's hardened.
There really is. Yeah, she is. And you hear Luke talking over this image of her basically just standing there, and that, you know, essentially all he says is, you have it all. You have the 1,000 generations inside you, and this is your fight now. And that's. It's essentially saying, like, Rey is the embodiment of the Jedi Order at this point. We've passed this is plural now. It's almost like he's talking for all of the Jedi before him. Maybe, you know, a little collective Force Ghost committee talking. We've passed on all we know. The 1,000 generations live in you now, but this is your fight. I mean, that is Force Ghost talk right there, if I ever heard it, right?
Yeah. Culminating, cumulative, almost identity. You know?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it also, I mean, I don't want to talk Dune too much, but this sounds very, very much like Dune in a lot of ways. With the way people in Dune know, like they have like other memory, and they have the entire lineage and knowledge of all of their past ancestors within them, speaking to them, and they can commune with them like that. All that's part of Dune too. It's very interesting. There's a parallel there. I mean, but that's for a different talk. And while all this is going on, the next kind of title about this is Every Generation Has a Legend. And that flies across the screen, and next thing you know, you see Rey about to run and, I don't know, jump on a TIE fighter or jump over a TIE fighter. I'm not sure. But before that too, you also see she got modified Jedi robes now. This isn't like the same outfit as we saw on The Force Awakens. She has a white robe, which is just, so badass. I want to see her the hood up too.
Yeah, it's very symbolic that to have the color white.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, definitely, because she had tan, and she was kind of like just tan desert garb in the first movie, just like Luke did. And then the second one, she had gray, the gray of the Resistance, and kind of had no identity. And in this one, she's much closer to white. There's tan again, there's the desert garb. She looks like herself. She looks like she's fully realized, and she has designed appropriate attire for who she is. And part of that's Jedi, part of that is desert, a desert rat, I don't know, desert scavenger. And I was thinking of Ezra as a scrum rat. That's how they called him in Rebels. But as the scavenger, and just she looks like a fully realized person, and that's where you want your hero to be in the last leg of the journey. And this entire sequence takes up half of the entire teaser trailer, just her running. And I can't tell if it's like Force enabled running, but she's hauling, you know what I mean, across the desert. And this TIE fighter is just screaming towards her. Did you get a good look at it? I mean, I think I took a couple of stills. It's a lot
more. So like my initial impression was this is reminiscent of Kylo Ren's
Interceptor
silencer.
Oh, is that silencer?
Yeah.
I called it an interceptor. You know what? Interceptor's from Return of the Jedi, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's very, I mean, like the silencer is an extension of that. It's like a bigger, beefier version of the interceptor, right? Like, this reminds me of Kylo's ship, except that it's modified. It's different. Yeah. It's got all these red,
there's like red embellishment, like armor, and like it just looks, it's red
armor
and
on
black.
The front.
Yeah, it's like heavily armored,
it's reinforced on the front.
Exactly, and it almost looks like it's like a massive target in front, smaller window, and it's all black with like red, and it just looks super cool. It's funny, from the front view, it absolutely looks like Darth Vader's TIE fighter as well, which is kind of cool too.
Yeah. And it's very menacing.
Yeah, it really is.
It almost looks like a face.
It does. It almost does look like a face. You're right.
An angry face.
Yeah. And all of a sudden she just starts backflipping. Like, she's running along like in front of it, and this thing's catching up to her, and then she does this insane backflip, and we don't see where she lands. Is she about to jump on top of it? Is she about to I don't know what she's doing here. Jump over it. I don't know what's about to happen. But here's the other thing that I noticed, and I don't get this. This TIE fighter could have blasted her down. Like, it had her dead to rights. It knew exactly where she was. She just stood there, and it didn't fire. What's going on there? And also, she takes out her lightsaber and then starts to run with it, and then retracts her lightsaber as she jumps. What's with that too? I don't know what's happening there, and I think there's a lot more to tell. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Like, it almost feels, it almost has test or training. It almost feels like a test or a training exercise or something like that to me. Or I don't know. It just feels. It feels too because there's no firing, and like you said, like it seems like she's unigniting the lightsaber as she flies through the air there. Like it just feels like a test of some sort. Like, is it a mental test? Is this not real? Is this just something for the trailer? I don't know, but it feels otherworldly almost.
Yeah, that's interesting. Although otherworldly is interesting.
Which makes me think they always get into your head with these trailers, like with The Last Jedi and like everything that was in the trailer. Like you expected everything in the trailer to be like a sidestep or like a diversion, and it was all just really just right there laid out on the table,
I know,
and like,
right?
Is that what's happening here? Like, is this literally like Kylo Ren flying his TIE Interceptor and it's just like a battle? Like, I don't know. Like, it's just so. Well, I don't know.
Well, you raise a very interesting point that this could all be like a dream sequence. And I wonder if there's some sort of vision aspect to this, because J.J. Abrams has been known to show that sort of stuff. Like, remember in the Force Awakens trailer, we saw the Knights of Ren, and we're like, oh, damn, we're going to see the Knights of Ren. And it was just part of like a Force back. And, maybe this is part of that. Maybe this is some sort of like vision quest thing that's happening here. But I also have a different idea. We don't know what Kylo Ren's actual place is right now within the First Order. We don't know what his agenda is. We know he's fighting. We know he's probably not a good guy at this point. But what if he's also in a faction? What if they're not necessarily misaligned? What if this is Rey and Kylo working together in some way? What if this is a pickup of some sort? Like he's about to she's about to jump in the TIE fighter. Who knows? Like, what if she's being saved by him? I can't, we can't answer this, and we're made to purposely be wondering about this, but I just know there's more to this scene than just, her and a TIE fighter squaring off. And it's really interesting. And man, that jump, it looks cool. I want to see the end of that jump. You know what I mean? Like,
it's very Spider-Man.
Yeah.
In the motion, in the position of the legs, and like all that stuff, it just feels very acrobatic, I guess is the word, right?
It does feel acrobatic, and it also doesn't feel too super. It's not like Legolas, which is like defying the laws of gravity. It just feels like almost like it feels force assisted and not completely supernatural. Like she can do this.
You have to really extend your body and contort in order to like achieve this force pushed move or whatever. Your body really is. It's twisted completely.
You have to be trained to do this. You can't just rely on like some otherworldly power or the laws of physics to be defied to do this. And that's really cool. And I like how they brought a physicality to it along with clear force powers that she has. And also, how much is it like JJ to literally just show you half the jump and leave you in suspense to see what happens afterwards? Like, that is so damn JJ Abrams. Like, just to leave you in suspense right there and then pull away. It's so funny. Then we get a plain old this Christmas. Like, okay, it's a trailer. We get it. It's coming out this Christmas. Next scene. We got some rocks. We have some clouds. It's dark and blue, and we have what looks like a Resistance or Rebellion shuttle. I mean, I wanted to say it was a Y-wing, but it's not, or an A. I don't know if it's an A-wing. Do you think it is? It could be an A-wing, I guess.
I can't tell at all. Yeah, it could be. It's hard to tell. I mean, an A-wing would be small. I mean, I don't know. It's really hard for me to get a sense of what this ship looks like.
Yeah. And it's descending into the rocks and the clouds into almost like a valley with a lot of like yellow glinting lights that look like a city. Almost looks like Luke's training temple, because there are these towers on the north and the south part of the city. It's like a terraced city, maybe with maybe 3 or 4 different parts. And yeah, I wonder what this is. Is this like a Jedi stronghold? Is this something hidden? Who knows? It's pretty cool, though.
Is this Lando's new casino? We don't know.
Yeah, exactly. The first thing I thought of, though, when I thought of this, I'm like, oh, snap, are we going underwater? And it's hard to tell, if you ask me. I think that there's a lot in the atmosphere here that could look like either clouds, or it could look like water bubbles. And, these clouds that are coming up from the rocks almost look like hydrothermal vents to me as well. So, to me, I mean, maybe this is a long shot. Maybe I'm nuts. Not the first time I've heard it, but maybe this is another underwater city. and this is all tying back into like Gungans maybe, or like we're going all the way back to the beginning, back to the Phantom Menace. Who the hell knows, right? What do you think about that? Do you think
there's definite like visual Gungan underwater cues here?
Yeah,
like you said, there's those bubbles or whatever that is. I mean, the one thing that's just weird is that there's still clouds. Like if this is underwater, like what are these clouds? But still, it has the lighting and the kind of like, if this was underwater, this is what the lighting would kind of feel like. It's very dark, and then the lighting of the city itself, where like the city lights are. They feel a lot like that underwater
like Oda Gunga, no bubbles, but I mean still. Take a look at some still images of hydrothermal vents, because when we see like steam, these things come up in steam and they're full of minerals and all this sort of stuff and gunk, and they come up from the surface of the ocean floor, and it looks cloudy. It looks like cloudy water inside of highly pressurized clear water, and that's exactly what it looks like. So it could totally be that, or it could, I could be overthinking this, and this is like almost looks like Edu terrain as well, to be honest with you. Which I don't think we're going back to Edu, but from Rogue One, but it looks almost like Edu as well. When the X-Wings are attacking at night,
that type of planet, rocky, rainy, cloudy, dark.
Yeah. It could totally be that too, but my bet is that this is some sort of Jedi stronghold here. And, Oppo Rancisis, maybe this is where he is, right? Maybe this is where he's been all along. Who knows?
I could see snakes slithering around those rocks.
Oh, definitely. Hell yeah. Absolutely. And I need to get Chris's
There's
take on
probably
this.
Some that peek up over the sun so that they can warm up on the rocks.
Yeah, they get to sun themselves, right? Or maybe they're water snakes. Who knows?
Reptiles.
Yeah, I need Chris's input on this immediately.
Yeah.
Oh man, I had an idea to call him, but I don't know. Celebration is weird time. Who knows where he'll be and what he's doing.
He's exhausted right now. I guarantee he's sleeping.
Yeah, I'm sure. Okay, next scene: Kylo Ren in a forest of red, and like the air is red. The trees look dead. I don't know if they've been burned or it's just winter, but the ground, there is snow on the ground. To be perfectly honest, this almost looks like Starkiller Base, but it can't be, because Starkiller Base is a star now. But there's a red haze in the air all around him, very similar to the color of his lightsaber, and he is just mowing down a dude in this. He essentially just like clotheslines a guy, stabs him with the crossguard of his lightsaber, and slams him on the ground. And in front of him, you see a stormtrooper blasting something up ahead. So I didn't get a good idea of what this guy looked like. He wasn't carrying a blaster. He was carrying some sort of like some hand weapon, like a sword or something like that, or a sickle or something. I'm not sure what that was. And he has a helmet on as well. But I don't know. It didn't look like a resistance trooper to me. What's your take on this?
Well, just my association with this one scene. It reminds me of the trailer for Solo. I think it was like the last full trailer for Solo, where Chewbacca is just like reverse, just like slamming some dude like head first. It's just pure. Yeah. It's a pure display of power and force, and that you just get that sense from him. He's totally exerting his power here. The guy, I can't make anything of the guy. You're right. He's got some sort of club, or I don't even know what he's holding, but
it's definitely
that dude for sure.
So it's hard to tell what's going on here. Is Kylo just kind of like, are they just like dominating the galaxy, and he's just kind of leading the charge here and just saying, just another planet to conquer? Is that what's going on here? I don't know, but no mask in the scene. He's still kind of doing that sort of Prince of Darkness thing from The Last Jedi, but that's all to be changed, because the next scene is him welding the mask with this red solder. And I've noticed, actually I saw the packaging for episode 9, the Rise of Skywalker merchandise, and it's the reforged helmet with the red streaks on it. So this thing has been resoldered. It has red streaks from where he smashed it, and the helmet's going to be coming back. And I wonder what the significance of that is. Does that mean, like, it just seems like a rejection of Snoke entirely, right?
He's the one who told him to take it off, right?
Yeah, take off that ridiculous mask. And he got so angry, and he was still trying to, at that point when he smashed it, he was still trying to impress Snoke, and he still felt like a child. And at that point, he, that was kind of the moment where he decided, I'm going to get rid of this guy and do this on my own. And he did. And is this like a reclamation of I don't know. What is this a reclamation of? Are we getting back to him worshiping the melted Vader mask? Like, what is happening here? And I think there's more to think about by him reforging his mask than just wanting to look cool again. There's something going on with this mask. I think it's connected to Vader somehow. I think it's connected to the Vader mask somehow. And you know something? There's in the comics, there's been a lot of talk about the Mask of Momin, which is was a Sith relic that Vader actually used to construct his temple. And I don't know, that there might be a power in this mask. And I want to learn more. I want to know why he's reforging it. And I get it, just by looks, having that red solder looks really cool. So
yeah, and so the question for me, the question is why mend the one you broke rather than create a new one, right? So that comes back to breaking it, and the act of breaking it, and like you said, this connection back to who told you to take it off. And so yeah, it feels very symbolic for him to mend it rather than have another one manufactured or whatever. So maybe there is a power to it, because if you have to mend it and you can't just make a new one, there might be something to it.
Yeah, exactly. And in the mending, this red, so, who knows what's going into, is he augmenting it in some way? Is he infusing it with something? But this deep blood red, it seems to be wrapped entirely around Kylo Ren in this movie. I mean, there was a bright red in The Last Jedi, and that seemed to kind of cover everything. But now we have that deep blood red on that TIE fighter and in the solder, and I'm really interested to see like if there's a significance there of what's happening. Okay, next scene, Poe and Finn. Rumor has it that this is a preview for the new Uncharted game. Bill, is that what's happening here?
Yeah, Poe's scarf is all the buzz right now. Apparently.
Yeah, you posted a picture on Twitter, and people just were like, "Oh my God, Uncharted is Oscar Isaac playing Nathan Drake." And I gotta be honest, I mean, he does look like Nathan Drake. I mean,
the picture I posted wasn't a still from the trailer. It was it was one of the pictures in the panel.
Yeah.
It was one of the stills from the panel, and it might just be like like one of those glam shot type things.
Sure.
It is very glamorous.
It is.
But he looks like a I don't even know how to describe it, like Lawrence of Arabia meets Nathan Drake Uncharted, and it's
Hidalgo,
a very beautiful Poe Dameron.
Yeah, it is. Like he's the only thing I can say for this whole area with Poe and Finn and 3PO in the desert, this is very swashbuckling to me, in a very true way, because you have this dashing sort of look about both of them, and they're in the desert, and they look like they're just like heroes ready for adventure and up for anything, and they're it totally brings you back to like the Cary Grant era of Hollywood, and that whole scene with Lawrence of Arabia, and with that whole thing of like just this dashing adventure with these big sweeping scenes. And they filmed in Jordan where Lawrence of Arabia was filmed, so I think they got that vibe down quite a bit. But I have to say, the rock formation that Poe is on looks very Geonosian to me. I got to be honest, but I don't think they're on Geonosis. and Finn is holding what looks to be Rey's staff as well. Did you get that?
Yeah. Yep. Good call.
Yeah. So
it looks like her staff.
It does. It absolutely does. Maybe there's some dialogue there like, hey, you're gonna be in the desert. You're probably gonna need this. I don't know. If you're in the desert, you need a stick, I guess. Who knows? We'll get back to them because there's more to them in the desert in this teaser. But we move on to BB-8 with a new droid because the droid's got a droid, and now there's an even smaller droid called Dio, and all I could think of is Ronnie James Dio, because we're from Massachusetts and he's from New Hampshire, and I don't know, but I love it. It's actually the letter D, and I don't know if it's the number 0 or the letter 0, but it's D-O. And I'm loving it. He's basically just a wheel and a cone, and he's mimicking everything the BB-8 does. So hey, cool. More droids the better. I can dig it, right?
So this one was on stage in the panel, and I kind of was. I feel like I missed a little bit of what they said about it. It almost seems like maybe this is BB-8's sidekick, right? But
yeah.
I just looking at this thing, I almost get a sense that this is something maybe Rey could have created, scavenged together with parts or something.
Hell, man, I feel like BB-8 could have created this thing.
Right? Yeah, that's true too.
He got arms. He has 6 arms. He could have built this thing out of spare parts. It's green and white, and it looks very simplistic, and it almost talks like BB-8 too. Yeah. So I don't know what BB-8 needed a droid for, but we got a second one here, D-O, and that's cool. Speaking of droids, no R2 in this trailer. He was on stage though. He was on stage with the rest of the cast. I will say that, but.
And he was there at the end of The Last Jedi, so
he was there at the last
somewhere.
Yeah, he's around somewhere, and I wonder if his lack of appearance might have to do with something with Luke, because he shut down when Luke went away, and now Luke is gone, and who knows what effect that's going to have on R2 now. I have no idea. All right, next scene, we're back in the Falcon, and who's in the pilot's chair? Our good buddy Lando. And he's rocking with Chewie, and now that we know from Solo, a Star Wars story, they're old friends, And I gotta tell you, there's a lot to love about this, because he's laughing like he does in Return of the Jedi, and he's just having a blast, old Lando. And he's also in the Donald Glover clothes, the light blue cape and the yellow shirt and everything. And what a great touch that is, huh?
Yeah, there's the dice, right? In The Last Jedi. The dice. And then actually I don't see the dice in this trailer,
yeah,
but
that's
what I'm saying is so that was a direct connection to the movie Solo, and then that shirt is it's I think you briefly mentioned it earlier, this idea that this is gonna pull in from everywhere.
True.
It's gonna pull in from the prequels, from everything, and this is that shirt is pulling in this connection. The shirt and just him being in the cockpit with Chewie is bringing in the connection to Solo. The movie Solo.
So I guess we kind of have an idea. I guess the Falcon is how does Lando enter the scene? Is he like, I have Solo's dead, so I might as well get back my ship? I could totally see something like that happening. You know what I mean? Like him coming around, be like, come on, Chewbacca, let's do this thing together. And I could totally feel
technically ownership reverts back to me.
Yeah, I think that kind of makes sense to me. I think that makes sense, and I kind of like the idea of Lando and Chewie kind of hanging out. They've known each other for a long time. They've been friends for a long time, so why not, right? I kind of dig these two old dudes just kind of hanging around in their old speedster. Wasn't able to get a good look at the control panel, but I wonder if there's been some modifications made, and it kind of looks like there might have been. I would love a comparison from this back shot of them, and just seeing that and seeing how that looks compared to other films. And of course you have the light speed shot that it's almost exactly the same in all these sequel trilogy movies, this perspective shot of the Falcon going through hyperspace, and you know, comes out, and then you don't see really where it's going, except for that's dropping into space and not really into atmosphere. And then we have the saga comes to an end, of course, the end of the Skywalker saga, and then we're back into the. Oh, by the way, okay, before we get any further, revealed in the panel today was a new character called Janna, not Jaina, Janna, Jannah, and that was confirmed by actually IGN. I was reading it is where it came from, Janna, and it's funny how Stephen Colbert, who hosted it, had to point out, hey, are you Lando's daughter or not? And they didn't say anything. They didn't say yes or no, which kind of leads me to believe, yeah, probably, right? Like, the question was asked and the question was skirted instead of answered directly, which leads me to believe there's something going on there. Maybe she's Lando's lover. Who knows? You know, Lando.
Yeah, she said Lando gets around, so
yeah, he could have
is high or something like that, you know.
Yeah,
he's got around so much that most people might be his daughter.
Yeah, true. And who knows? I would like to think that might be his girlfriend, because I see a guy like Lando still going after young girls. Who knows, right?
Yeah.
It could totally happen. He could be kind of like a little bit of a lecherous guy. I could
They
see
showed
that.
a shot. They showed a shot of her, and she looked very almost scavenger-esque or something like that. They did show like a costume shot of her.
She does look like she lives a little rougher than Lando. You know, Lando is not one who likes to get dirty and scuffed up a little bit. He definitely likes his showers, and he likes his clean clothes, and she definitely looks a little rougher. But she does have the same color of clothes. There's something very reminiscent of Lando in how she's dressed, with the blues and the yellows, and I don't know. I might all be a red herring to kind of throw you off. You know what I mean? Because why would people dress this? Why would people dress the same? Like, just because you're Lando's daughter doesn't mean you own blue and yellow. you know what I mean? Like that's kind of a ridiculous thing. So I think this might be a classic JJ red herring, but very cool. Not featured in the trailer, Janna. So we'll see what that character and what she does. Okay, next scene. The saga comes to an end, and then we switch over to a desert with, I don't know, like 20 moisture evaporators, and there's a speeder, basically a speeder chase with the speeder racing on the ground. And what follows is a couple of explosions and a lot of dust, and out of the dust comes these two white and blue things flying by the screen. And the only way you can see kind of what they are is by doing screenshots. And it appears to me that these are people with jetpacks that are flying. And I say people because I'm not 100% sure they're stormtroopers. Bill, you've seen these. What is your take?
It seems like jetpack troopers in there. It seems like they are holding blasters or something, because their arms are kind of like crossed in front of them, held out front. You know,
almost like Harry Potter brooms.
When I first saw it live, when I saw it live, I was like, oh, they look almost like they're riding some very tiny thing, like a broom, like Harry Potter or something.
The first one does. The second one looks much more jetpacky.
Yeah, and when you see a little jetpack thing coming out the back, I'm looking at your stills from your article right now. It looks much more like a jetpack.
So we got a jetpack action going on here, and I keep on looking to like the left and the right of the helmet, and I almost think I see like a what's it called, the targeting eyesight thing that looks like could be a Mandalorian helmet. Man, do I want these to be like proto-fat Mandos of some sort, or from Concord Dawn or something like that. Man, how cool would it be to bring in some proto-Mando helmets here? I mean, talk about wrapping.
That would be pretty cool. Yeah,
wrapping in the entire saga. How cool would that be? Just to bring back, that prototype armor and see some jetpacks going on here. I doubt it's going to happen. It's probably First Order, but hell, man, that would be so cool.
I'm a very like I got thrown for a loop with The Last Jedi and the helmets of the Praetorian Guards.
Yeah.
Because everything up to that point seemed to be sort of on this trajectory to revisit helmet archetypes throughout. And
right.
You know, like you have like the T-visor of the Mandalorians that goes into the clone troopers, that's in the like Senate guards, that ends up in the royal guards. Really, like the royal guards are if you look at the basic structure of the face mask, it's a Mandalorian T-visor without the down line, you know.
Oh yeah, totally. And, you know, it's funny though, but that evolved from the Senate Guard, which
right, exactly.
Yeah, which was,
evolved from the Mandalorians, really.
I guess so, yeah. But a different strain from the clones, which is interesting. Right. Yeah. So I wonder if they'll come. Like, I'm just thinking in a design way, you know. If right.
If they're gonna come back again to that Mandalorian design.
Yeah, I wonder. I wonder if they carry the Mandalorian design forward and do a totally new Mando type thing. That's entirely possible too. This could probably just be First Order or a different faction. Who knows? But I you know, every time I see white armor and people in jetpacks, I get really excited because that's kind of my thing. So I don't know. It's pretty cool though. So it cuts to what is presumably the speeder that is riding through these moisture evaporators, and who's on it is Poe and Finn and 3PO. And 3PO don't look like he's freaking out too much. He looks like he's hanging on, and this looks like a pirate ship to me. You have a mast, you have you know, the stern, and it looks like Poe's almost like at the captain's wheel steering the entire thing, and it just has such a pirate ship swashbuckling feel to it. It's absolutely ridiculous, and the way it's filmed makes it look like a pirate ship as well. It's ridiculous. Do you get that vibe? Am I crazy here? Like, it almost looks like
absolutely.
There's rigging as well. There's rigging on it. It's super. I don't know. I love this whole idea. I think it's super cool to bring it back to that old style Hollywood type of feel and this dramatic sweeping chase. And I can't wait to see the sequence on screen because I have a feeling it's really going to be a showstopper. It looks like it's going to be really fast and really interesting.
It reminds me, it makes me almost think of if you were to, based on that previous scene with the jetpackers and the speeder or whatever, and then this, which feels like a larger thing than what's flying through the desert there, but possibly the same scene. It makes me feel like between speeders and speed and ships and deserts, like I kind of get this almost mashup feel between like the speeder bike scene in Return of the Jedi and the skiffs of Tatooine in Return of the Jedi.
Yeah,
I don't know, something like that, like some weird like mashup of that, just like visually and just sensory wise.
You know, I wonder if this is Tatooine. It would almost make sense of going back to Tatooine, right? I mean, it feels like we're returning to all of the old places in the saga. I get this kind of vibe that we're returning to a lot of old places in the saga in this film, and it's a little bit of a victory lap in that way. But
yeah, if I had to guess, quite frankly, I think it could end up being a new place again. But
yeah,
if I had to guess, I would almost suspect this is Jeddah.
Interesting. Oh, Jeddah would be a very cool idea because they're searching for like old relics or old ideas too. But Jeddah,
yeah,
you know, Jeddah, they returned to Jeddah in the comics, and Jeddah was a wasteland because, you know, a good third of it has been totally blasted out, and the whole planet's out of whack, and things are really weird. So I don't know. Maybe, who knows? You know, maybe they're on the opposite side of the planet. But I find it really interesting. Maybe it's Jeddah.
It's just that one same picture that I posted on Twitter of Poe.
Oh, he's around all the people, and they're all like holy.
There's all those like
robed like holy people in masks.
Holy people, like priests or whatever, looking
acolytes and whatnot.
You know, that feels like Jeddah, but it doesn't mean it's Jeddah. It just feels like it, you know.
It could be though. It could be. I like that idea. That's cool. That's a good bet, my friend. I like that. Okay, next scene is an A-wing, and this is purely a style shot, I think, to be honest with you. This is very teaser trailer to me. It's just literally an A-wing against the sun, and you start to see some smoke, and then it just kind of flames out, and you transition into Leia holding a Medal of Yavin. And you just know right away it's Leia. There are older female hands, and it's holding the Medal of Yavin. This is Leia. I mean, that's all you need to know there, really.
Yep.
You know, why is she reminiscing on Han? Is she reminiscing on a time of hope that she had in her life? Is she reminiscing on maybe this is the medal that was supposed to go to Chewie and she forgot it? Who knows, right? I think it would be really funny if it was like, damn it, I've been meaning to give this to Chewie for like 70 years. And I forgot.
That's JJ's. That's like his make good for not having Chewie hug Leia at the end of Force Awakens.
Yeah.
She actually brings him the medal that she neglected. He's been neglected all this time.
Yeah. The next shot is Leia and Rey in like an embrace, and almost there's a crying embrace. It's basically like goodbye, and they're in a jungle. Is it Yavin 4? There's a lot of talk that Yavin 4 might be another place that's being revisited. And in this scene, Luke comes back into voiceover and he says, "We'll always be with you. We will always be with you." And again, plural. And, it's amazing because who knows when this was filmed? This is Force Awakens footage or Last Jedi footage where we're thinking that's been repurposed and digitally transformed to match this scene. And what is the significance here? I don't understand how and why Rey and Leia have such a strong bond. But then again, years have passed between The Last Jedi and now, so who knows how that has gone.
Their bond. I feel like if this is an actual shot from the movie, then this bond is a Luke connection. I mean, it's also a Han connection, but like, I think it's not necessarily a connection between Leia and Rey necessarily, but like they are both so connected to, like, Leia's so connected to Luke and Han, and Rey is so connected to Luke and Han, and they're both connected to each other because of that, even though they in prior movies haven't spent a ton of time together. Yeah,
it's true. And I just think I think these are two people who understand each other. These are two women who really, really, really get each other, and you can just tell by the hug that they are very, very close. And it looks like they're saying goodbye for good, which is obviously sad, seeing as Carrie has been gone for a number of years now, and this is absolutely our last look at Carrie. Which is always poignant. Final scenes here. We see Chewbacca, BB-8, Ronnie James Dio, 3PO. I'm gonna be doing this till December. Seriously, expect new music on Brews. We're playing Dio. Dio is a thing now, and I'm all for it because there's plenty of Dio that I love. So we have Chewie, BB-8, Dio, 3PO, Rey, Poe, and Finn. By the way, Poe and Finn are in their swashbuckling gear, and they're all looking on this grassy plain with a cloudy sky. Okay, that's all we know. Grassy plain, cloudy sky. Looks like there may be a vehicle or a structure to the far left, and it's revealed they're looking over what looks like an ocean, and what we see is a massive, massive structure in the distance, very similar to how there was a massive Star Destroyer in the Force Awakens that Rey was flying by, only this is a Death Star. And you see a cracked out radar dish and the outline of a sphere that is fallen into the planet and embedded itself into the ocean. And the camera pulls in on this, and you see... I thought it looked like a it looked almost like gravity being distorted but I have to take that back. It almost looks like just the current, washing up against the shore, against a cliff. That's really all it was. So that was my bad. But
just the waves are intense. They're otherworldly.
They're very intense and otherworldly. You're absolutely right. And I thought that there was a gravity thing going on there. I don't think that anymore. I just think they're very intense and they're almost in slow motion. And I think the slow motionness of it is giving the aspect of perspective that we're not looking at something that's very close to them. This is far away and this is massive. You remember the radar dish is. Think about the radar dish in Rogue One and how many Star Destroyers were dwarfed inside of that radar dish as they were putting it in. So think about how far away this thing is that they're looking at, right? Like that's the type of perspective we're looking at here. And it's going from the ocean all the way into the cloud line and beyond. So I don't know. Is this the first Death Star? Is this the second Death Star? Is this another Death Star? I don't know. And I don't know if there's any real way to tell. I don't know. Is there a way to tell?
Well, no, but there's a couple ways to possibly analyze the situation. So in one sense, you have a storytelling component where you would expect, based on what's coming next, that you're looking at the second Death Star because this is where Palpatine died, right?
Okay. So this would be Endor, we'd imagine.
The storytelling aspect, like there's something to do with Palpatine, so it's probably the second Death Star, right?
Okay, yeah.
The other idea is it's an alternative third prototype, early, later, I don't know, Death Star that because the first two, and this is, I guess it's a storytelling theory type thing, but visual thing really is like the way those things exploded.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like this piece would have come off of there in this condition.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
So that's why I think it, that's the other option, is it could be something else. But again, like just because the visual told us this would have been a million pieces, doesn't necessarily mean it was, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. If this is Death Star 2, I think we can presume this would be Endor, which is really interesting for a lot of reasons, because we've never seen an ocean or plains on Endor. It's just all forest. But that's not to say it couldn't be. But yeah, I think to your point that when we see that thing explode, it doesn't look like there's any pieces of a structure left over. It looks like it's completely atomized in a thermonuclear explosion in space. And that's exactly what I'd think of from the first one, too. So, and to that point with Starkiller Base as well, when it imploded into a star, I wouldn't expect there to be this massive, massive chunk of that.
So like the reason why, so like the idea is, okay, it doesn't really fit in with the way these things exploded, right? But like the reason why I think it's okay to kind of break that physical expectation or rule is that like this, when you saw the second Death Star, like when you look at the second Death Star, in Return of the Jedi, right? Like it looks like it looks like they're rebuilding like the original thing. Like forget lore and like all that stuff, but it just looks like they're rebuilding it from the parts of the first one, or it looks like it's the remnants, or it's being restructured from it. It doesn't necessarily look like this new original construction. It looks like a reconstruction.
Interesting. I've never thought of that.
Like, you know what I mean? Like it just feels like this, I don't know. To me, it feels like this wreck. It feels like this chaotic wreck that's being put back together or something. Yeah. So, and I've always sort of just said, okay, well, I just need to forget that because they're building it from scratch. Yeah.
Well, they built it within, like 3 years, which is really, really interesting. Was the Death Star 2 was supposed to be bigger too, right? It was bigger than the first one.
Yeah, but that again, that's like this post I don't think there's anything in the movies to suggest that exactly,
Okay. And also it was fully operational before it was, a ball and completed. So it was really kind of only like, half done, but fully operational as a weapon, was it a ruse, or did they just focus on building the weapon first and everything else would follow afterwards? Maybe 6 of one, half dozen of the other in that sense. But you can't tell because the right side of the radar dish is completely removed when that's where like the superstructure was exposed in Death Star 2. So it's really they're very sneaky in what they're showing you here, because you're seeing something but not everything. And
right.
I don't know. So, mine's totally open on this. I'm not gonna. I don't think I can judge one way or another. However, Joey Letson from the Animated Cast came up with a really interesting idea, thinking and remembering something he saw from The Art of Star Wars: The Force Awakens by Phil Stozak. An unbelievable book, by the way. You need if you haven't checked it out, you really need to, because there's so much information in these Art of books that is absolutely essential to understanding how these books how the movies came together, and the inspirations that Lucasfilm draws on. And of course, Lucasfilm never throws anything away. They always are drawing on previous ideas that they've come up with. So, Bill, you expounded on this a little bit as well after Joey put this forward. So, what are we thinking about here when we see a Death Star immersed in water?
Well, so he remembered the connection. I just looked up the photograph.
Yeah,
and I had the book handy.
Yeah.
So the photograph is the underwater trench, and it's not photograph. Sorry, the art.
Yeah,
is
concept
the underwater trench. Yeah, concept art, and it's basically a diver swimming around underwater, and you see turrets from the trench run, essentially. And it's not like visually it looks like the turrets from the trench run of the first Death Star, right? But
right.
The notation says submerged underwater second Death Star.
True.
This is where Kira, at the time her name was, discovers the plans, discovers the map to Luke or something, or like is able to go dive down into the wreck of the second Death Star and find the map to Luke or whatever. So,
I thought it was like a secret Jedi fortress.
Joey made.
Yeah, I believe it was like the secret Jedi fortress they were looking for, or like the map to the Jedi, which is, tying it back to that other city we see earlier in the trailer. What if there was like a location of where other Jedi were hiding? And maybe that's what they're looking for here. Like there's more than Skywalker, the Last Jedi, and they're all kind of hanging out in the city somewhere, hidden. Almost like Gondolin in Lord of the Rings.
If there's like other, like somebody mentioned, what if this is a race to find information in this secretly like buried treasure of info, and there's more than one piece of information there. Maybe like somebody mentioned that possibly Kylo Ren is looking for a holocron there.
Yeah, holocron of Palpatine.
Yeah, like I don't know. So
interesting.
It's really cool. I can't wait to see what's going on with this thing.
Yeah, so we go from Leia to this, and Luke is saying, we'll always be with you. No one's ever really gone, echoing what he said in episode 8. And it just gets totally twisted as we see the Death Star and it fades to black. And then you hear Ian McDiarmid's quintessential cackling evil laugh. And it might be the most evil laugh that anyone in our generation has ever heard in our lives. And the generations after us, too. And it's the most devilish evil laugh, and you just hear Palpatine laugh, and it's all black, and you're like, what? No one's ever really gone. Ipso facto, the Emperor's coming back. I mean, or the Emperor was never really gone either. And there is some influence that Palpatine is exerting on this entire trilogy and on this movie, and it's reframing everything you thought you knew about the past two movies, and I love that. And they're giving it away already. And what does that tell you? What does that tell you? You know what I mean?
That goes back to like what I said about the lightsaber. It's like,
yeah,
put that out there right away, and what happens to our expectations? Like what?
Yeah.
Like what can we expect if that's already out in the open? Like,
yeah,
it's kind of crazy.
And since this trailer was run, Ian McDiarmid has been visible and vocal. He walked out on stage after this thing premiered and said, "Let's play that again." And he was on Twitter promoting the trailer as well, saying the dark side has never been stronger. Like, Ian McDiarmid's hamming it up and loving it. And you know, a guy like Ian McDiarmid, he has a career. He's very active in London cinema, London theater, and he loves Star Wars. He loves the role of Palpatine, but he doesn't return to it unless he's kind of needed. You know what I mean? And the fact that he was at Celebration, he showed up, and he did this, while even Luke Skywalker was busy working, Mark Hamill, leads me to believe that this is more than just a voiceover in a holocron. Palpatine is playing a role here, whether it is through a ghostly influence or, you know, maybe it is more of a video or message playing throughout the ages, but there is some influence of Palpatine upon this movie and upon this trilogy, and I love it. And I'm really, really excited to see how that manifests. You know what I mean?
It makes so much sense that they would do that
at
the very end to bring it all the way back again,
bringing it
to
back
the very beginning.
Yeah, I mean, he was. You think about it, Palpatine was the impetus of everything evil in the prequel trilogy and the sequel trilogy, and the original trilogy. I mean, why wouldn't he be in the sequel trilogy? And you know, a lot of people are thinking about Dark Force, Dark Empire, with the Emperor being cloned. And, you know, I've had a theory that was expounded upon by Force Material back in 2014 about Rey being a clone of Anakin, and it being a project of Palpatine's back in the days of the Empire. And I think that, I don't know if it's going to be Dark Empire, but I think there might be some credence to some cloning going on, but, you know, not a retelling of Dark Empire, obviously. I don't know how that's all going to play out, but I definitely like the idea that we may be coming back to that. Finally, after getting all of this, we find the title is The Rise of Skywalker, and that brings us full circle to our conversation. What is rising? What does Skywalker even mean anymore? What does it mean to say that as far as we know, all the Skywalkers are gone? And Ben Solo is a Solo, and what does this mean anymore? Kyle Newman said that Rey is a Skywalker by choice. I don't necessarily believe in that. Is this like an I Am Spartacus type thing? I don't know, but I wonder what this all means.
Well, to me, back to my kind of initial thought is this idea of almost outside of the plot, the sense of this idea of Skywalker as legend. Yeah. And, you know, you had mentioned Skywalker as possibly a role or something beyond just this family name. Maybe it's a new name for a new order or something like that. But yeah, like it's not the start of something new. It's the possibly like the ascendancy of something old. I don't know. Yeah.
You know, no one's ever really traced the origins of Skywalker as a name. A book that came out last year, Thrawn Alliances. Not Thrawn Alliance. Is it Thrawn Alliances? The second Thrawn book.
That's the one where it's bumping back and forth between the two, like present and the past, with Thrawn and Anakin.
That's right.
Vader.
And spoiler alert here, if you don't want to know about the end of the book, but a minor detail that came out of that is that the Chiss word for children who can use the Force, and children in Chiss children who use the Force lose that ability as they turn into adults. It's revealed in that book. Chiss children who can use the Force are called Skywalkers in their language. And it's very rare for a book to kind of preview a Star Wars movie, but you know, another use of this name. And I wonder if the books are kind of alluding to the idea that the history of the Skywalker name is much more meaningful than anything that Luke or Anakin could have ever predicted, and whatever Palpatine's influence was on the Skywalker family is part of a much bigger destiny or role that this family has always had. And I'm really interested in that idea. I don't know. I think that it's just such a mysterious and interesting name. It might be the most mysterious name we've heard so far. You know, we've never really got an answer yet about what the Force Awakens means either. We've never really understood why the Force is awakening or where the Force went before it awakened as well. So I wonder if the Rise of Skywalker will explain more of that as well. I mean, awakening, rising, these are all very uplifting momentum type of ideas when, you know, this story so far has been really going downhill for the heroes. So I wonder what this last chapter is all going to be about. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I haven't done so yet, but I want to dig in a little, I think, to the word rise and the etymology possibly of that word. I'm not sure, like,
people put some interesting ideas out there.
But
yeah,
it just seems weird to have Rise of Skywalker. It almost feels like it should say Rise of the Skywalker or something like that, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like I said earlier, it's very provocative. It's very much the opposite of what you would expect for the last movie in the saga. And I've actually heard some people express this very, almost this animosity towards it as like, how could it possibly be the Rise of Skywalker if it's the last movie? What are they doing? You know, and I just think you need to have this, you got to have an open mind to go into the last movie of a 9-movie saga that spans 43 years or whatever.
Before we go, I have one last theory about this. So we've been talking about ascendancy, and we've been talking about the role of Skywalker. Luke is talking about people never really being gone; they'll always be with you. What if the Rise of Skywalker is the resurrection of Skywalker? What if that's what they're talking about? What if this whole idea is that this whole movie is surrounding someone trying to resurrect Anakin Skywalker or Luke Skywalker or Palpatine, for that matter? What if this is about resurrection and the forces that are trying to do it and the forces that are trying to prevent it? And what if that is what the Rise of Skywalker means?
What if it's a race? Like, so you have one side racing to resurrect, like the art of resurrection has been found, and one side's racing to resurrect,
like Darth Vader,
Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah.
And the other side is racing to resurrect Luke Skywalker, and what's going to happen there, you know?
Yeah. What if that's what the Rise of Skywalker means? And you know something? The more I think about this teaser trailer, the more I start to think about maybe this is about resurrection. And that's wild to me. That's absolutely wild to think that that's where we're going. We're not thinking about Force Ghosts. We're thinking about bringing. I mean, that's what Palpatine was all about: bringing people back, saving people from dying, immortality. Right. That's what this has always been about from the dark side. What if this is about resurrection? I mean, Kylo Ren has been worshiping Vader's helmet because it spoke to him. What if it's all about resurrection? They want to literally see Skywalker rise from the dead. Oh.
No one's ever really gone.
No one's ever really gone. I love... this is very provocative. And you know something? It seems like something that could finally show up in the crawl. You know what I mean? Like that phrase, the Rise of Skywalker, could show up in the crawl as part of a story of resurrection. And wow. Maybe that's exactly where we're going with this. But a lot of questions, no answers, and a lot to be excited about for the
so fun to speculate and just,
I love it.
And just theorize.
Oh, I do. I love that we're back to that. I love we're back to theorizing and speculating wildly. Crazy stuff. Let's get weird. Let's get weird over the next 8 months, and let's not be judgmental of anyone in how weird or crazy they want to talk about this stuff. And if you heard it before, don't squash people's dreams. Let's just all have a lot of fun speculating on any possibilities here, because this is the good stuff, guys. This is what it means to love Star Wars, and let's have some fun with it, right?
It's definitely time to reread Aftermath.
A hell yeah, definitely. I'm ready for that, my friend.
I'm going back to that for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Same here. I'm ready for it. All right, what do you say we get out of here, huh?
Sure.
All right. All right, guys, we're gonna do this abbreviated style today. Thanks so much for hanging out with us with our little special here on the Rise of Skywalker teaser trailer. We've had a good time. Bill, where can people find you?
So I'm on Instagram at the Dorklair and Twitter at Dorklair, and you can check out the Dorklair Collecting podcast as well as the Dorklair YouTube channel.
Boom. Yeah, you get a lot of stuff going on, and Dorklair is just an unbelievable Star Wars collecting franchise, I'll say. I mean, you have YouTube videos, you have Instagram, you have unbelievable photography, and an excellent podcast with your boys Chris and Larry. Not Chris from here, different Chris. And you guys just you talk about collecting in a way that no one else does, and you review figures that no one else is talking about really in the same way. And it's compelling. Even if you don't get the figure, you're going to get inspired to kind of dig into that world and learn more about it. So I love the Dorklair, and I think it's a great show. Great music as well by Luke Schreiber, of course, who's done some stuff for Brews and Blasters as well. You guys, you know where to find me, right? Joe, I'm Joe Tomano. I'm over at RetroZap, Joey1 Kenobi on Twitter, and Brews and Blasters. You can find us, Brews and Blasters.ninja everywhere we're found. And yada, yada, yada. Chris Salton, can give a big shout out to him, even though he wasn't on this show. But he is, of course, the co-host of Brews and Blasters. You can find him at thecollectorshut.com. And, go over to his YouTube channel and subscribe, too. Chris will be back as soon as Celebration Chicago is over. We're going to have a huge breakdown of that show. And I can't wait to get his thoughts on the Rise of Skywalker and everything else that's about to be revealed. We might be back, Bill and I, for another recap soon, but we're gonna check out. We're gonna see what's going on. But until then, guys, this is it. The next chapter in Star Wars is beginning, and I'm really excited for it. So, for Bill Drewnowski, I'm Joe Tavano. That's my name, right? It's late. I'm forgetting it. Might want to buckle up, baby. That's a show. Godspeed, Rebels. Sakala. Tell Kanji Club. All that jazz. We'll see you soon. See you guys later.
I'm afraid the party's canceled. The summits never show. On the wall was penciled. I must forward a note. Force getting ready. Man, we get too much. All the world will suffer. The Wookiees' wicked clutch.